Hi, this is Young. You guys can call me Philip, the team leader of Yoyofriends, and today we're going to go over the Yoyofriends Pheasant Monometal. Now, after the Pheasant that's exclusively in spin gear in 2022, we were like, okay, we need a flagship monometal, and we really like the design of the Pheasant. They all really like the performance of it, the raw performance of it. If we can translate that into a monometal form. Now, we have translated from bimetal to monometal form before. You can, the example is the hummingbird to the sunbird. Actually have, hold on. Yeah, hummingbird to the sunbird right here. But a lot of you guys might know that while sunbird is good, it's fast, but it lost a lot of properties of hummingbird. Why? Because that's our first time translating a bimetal into a monometal. And it's kind of my first time as well. I don't know too much about, you know, the direct translation. We're like, okay, so the specs is around the same, we're just gonna make it monometal. That was like our goal. But now, after, you know, learning more and thinking about pondering more on like how to make a monometal, we're like, okay, instead of like trying to match the spec and the performance of a bimetal, why don't we add in some other attributes like the flow, the weight, and the float and the feel of the yo-yo, right? That Yoyofriends is based solely on performance, and that is fine because we make, our bread and butter has been bimetal all these years, right? Ever since 2017, the hummingbird, our bread and butter is bimetal. So in monometal, we want to focus more on feel and the feel of Yoyofriends instead of just pure performance and just adding rim weight and making wall thinner, right? So this is our goal. So what we did is, when we look at the Pheasant and the Pheasant 2023, what we did is, we're like, okay, we're gonna revert back to the original design. So this is actually, the shape is more of original design. It's got a V, kind of a generic V, but then right here is a stage or a step or whatever you call it. So this is like more of a kind of an H and a W shape all together. So it's like a VWH or VHW, whatever you call it, combined. So it's making the yo-yo a little bit more, I don't know, adds a little bit more character. For me, it's flow and the float, but you know, you can't really define float much. So it just makes the yo-yo accelerate, not as snappy, but accelerate in a way where the yo-yo kind of carries you, right? Carries the player. So that is pretty cool. The spec is not too much different from the Pheasant and the Pheasant 2023. It's around the same width, maybe a little bit bigger. But one thing is the weight. The weight is almost 66 grams. Now, Yoyofriends are, you know, known for lighter yo-yos. So now recently we want to go into the heavier yo-yo department, like the Nucleon, and now the Shortcut that's like 66.6 grams, and now the Pheasant. We don't want to go too heavy because this yo-yo is still very rim weighted. You can see this massive chunks of rim. So we could go right under 66 grams on this yo-yo. But it's still very powerful. You're gonna feel it when you throw it. The first thing you will feel is power. Okay, so I have a spec of this yo-yo here. So power on this yo-yo, it's very powerful. It's like 2+ grams heavier than the Pheasant 2023. So actually it just doesn't lose in the power department against Pheasant and the Pheasant 2023. It's just, because it's a 2 whole gram, right? We're like, okay, we're just gonna make this yo-yo heavy, right? That's a translation. If we're gonna make the yo-yo the same weight, of course it's gonna lose massively on acceleration and power. I mean, not acceleration, but on power and stability, right? 7068 is very good metal, but it's not gonna be like SS in terms of density. No way. So we just buff it up, make the yo heavy, right? So stability, slightly worse, but honestly, it just doesn't lose because it's just the 2 grams. It's the 2 whole grams. When we tweak yo-yos on monometal, most of the time we're like, okay, let's add like point something grams, like 1 gram at most, 0.5 grams, 0.3 grams. This time, like, we're like, okay, we're going ham, we're going 2+ grams. I think the first prototype was like 3 grams. It was a little bit too heavy, a little bit jarring to play with, but we lighter it down, but we still want at least 2 grams over the Pheasant twins, the Pheasant and the Pheasant 2023. So that's a go, and so it doesn't really lose on power and its stability. And you know, at this price range, once it doesn't lose on power stability, it's insane. Acceleration is very interesting, right? So yes, of course, it's gonna lose acceleration on top end radio action, but at lower speed, it doesn't lose in acceleration. So I would say it's easier to accelerate, right? Because there's a bit more middle weight, and the weight distribution is very centered, so it's a lot more balanced, right? So if you are going from like a medium speed to a slower to a medium fast speed, it's not gonna lose. I think it's slightly faster than the Pheasant 2023. It's when you go into like super high speed here like this, then you're like, okay, yeah, it's slightly less controllable and slower than the Pheasant 2023. But like I said, it's a 2 gram. You can override it, right? And this, you know, kind of helps you, carries you to that medium to medium high speed. And then, yeah, and it's gonna fight you a little bit on the very top end. So it's more like a Western, how like some of the yo-yo, like some of the CLYW yo-yos are really known for that, where the yo-yo kind of floats around and just carries the player. So the yo-yo kind of vibe and flow with the yo-yo. One really cool example for, I think, is Zach Gomi, the way he plays. It's like the yo-yo, and it's like just very, the fluidity, right? And then you got the drop players, so the yo-yo, the players is playing super hard, and the yo-yo's going exactly what the players want, you know, in terms of that. So that's pretty cool. This is like in the middle, right? So usually your fans are over here, but this time it's in the middle because of all the shape and the stages and all the you know, the weight throughout the yo-yo, right? So like I said, the flow and the float is all there. So that's pretty cool. Horizontal on this yo-yo is very good. I think it's, like Juan said, I think it's easier, right? Unless you're really try-harding, because you got the power stability because of the massive weight gain. And also, like I said, it's easier to accelerate from slower pace to medium-high pace, right? So in a horizontal situation, of course, you can't play horizontal as fast as vertically, right? So your horizontal will be a little bit slower for normal people. Like if you're like one of those players who are like Burgaz, like Leo or something in C3, like he's just God. Maybe not, but for regular players like us, mortals like us, our horizontal is generally slower than our speed combos in the vertical plane. So it's actually very easy to let the yo just carry you through. Oh shoot, that was my bad. So it's easier for the yo to carry you in the horizontal plane. This becomes very apparent, right? I'm having easier time to play this yo in the horizontal unless I'm pushing it really hard. Yeah, because you know my horizontal are slower than my vertical. So the yo kind of, you know, it's a lot less jarring to play with, and you got all that power and stability to hold that plane, no problem. So yeah, this horizontal is great. Bite on this yo-yo is decent. I think you can get away with KD string normal, like what I'm using, because the gap width is much narrower, because we know the weight distribution is not as extreme, so we need a narrower gap width, and you still can use KD fat and Sochi fat. So I would recommend KD normal, Sochi fat, KD fat, Sochi normal. Yeah. So normal to fat, I would say. I would say fat is the sweet spot, right? Because usually when I test yo-yos on a normal 10-ball center track, the standard Yoyofriends yo, I test it so it slips a little bit on KD normal. Right? If you go into a DS, then it will bind perfectly, or even better than perfect. You're still using your friend's ping pad, very grippy. Once it gets caught, it comes back, snaps back at you. Okay, finger grind, it's the same. Finger grind is 76A matte finish. There are two versions. I think there's shiny pink and shiny blue. Those ones are not matte finish. They're like kind of a blasted finish. Oh, not blasted. Is it like more of a shinier finish? Those are a polished finish. So those are not gonna finger spin as well, but I bet you still can do it. But you just have to have dry hand, and you know. But yeah, this is no problem. gap width, the width and the catch zone of the yo-yo makes the finger spin. Fingers grind very easy. Thumb grind, no problem. You know, you don't have the SS, and you can lock it. There's like a lock somehow. Yeah, there's a lock right here, which there isn't. If you can see, there's a lot more cuts in this yo-yo. So right here, there's like a cut here where your finger or fingernail can lock into it, right? So this is very, very good. See, I'm trying to shake it off on my finger, but it's not shaking it off. So that's very cool. This kind of translates into finger spin, you know, because of that ridge. So finger spin, slightly above average as usual. I think it's slightly better than the Pheasant as well. Okay, cool. So this is the conclusion of this yo-yo. Like I said, instead of trying to match and beat the performance of the high end of the Pheasant 2023, we want to focus on the, you know, flow and the feel of the yo-yo. You know, performance is still very important, but we kind of override that with just the amount of weight we're just adding into the yo-yo, right? But instead of adding it to on the outside, well, it's still very rim weighted. I mean, look at it. We add it here. So this yo-yo, it's a little bit more tame, a little bit easier to play with, less jarring, and also just fun time. Like, you can use this as an EDC. Like, this yo-yo, it's very fun to play with. It's not that yo-yo where it's like, I would say like, I don't know, like a Pheasant or a Hummingbird, where it's a little bit jarring to play with if you like push it really hard. You can push this yo-yo very, very hard, and still will keep up and not as jarring, right? So this yo-yo is so good that we, like, the team just think this is the best Monometal period. But, like, you know, but we're obviously biased. So this is one of the best. This is the best Monometal for us in Yoyofriends we've ever made. In terms of, you know, performance and just overall feel of it. It still have that Yoyofriends performance identity, but with a lot more flow than usual. So this year is actually so good to the point that I think Sophie and Steven on Yoyofriends are switching to this for contest, right? And that's insane. So they don't switch to the Pheasant 2023, but they're switching to this because it's got that more feel to it, especially at the lower gears. When you're not going at lightning speed, this yo-yo just absolutely delivers. Yeah, and there's also a Sophie signature colorway. It's half black, half green. Looks very, very cool. And so if you want to support her, go buy that one. And yeah, this is just overall what I consider a flagship of Yoyofriends. First Monometal flagship that we consider it so good to the point it can go toe-to-toe with any bimetals in our lineup, and but it's a Monometal. So yeah, absolutely insane. Got the power stability, got the flow, everything you want. Competition monster, and really not much weakness, to be honest. You know, sometimes the yo-yo have, like, you know, it's a little bit jarring, but this yo-yo, I can't really find a weakness to it. So it's just incredible. It was kind of weird because I don't have too much insight on this yo-yo when they designed it. They just did it like this, and when I played it, I'm absolutely mind blown. So very proud of what they did, and yeah, so don't miss this. I think this is now available worldwide as well, so definitely grab on this if you want. Thank you all for watching, and see you guys next time.